If you have questions now, I'm going to open up the question pane. So please feel free. I probably should have done that before I started talking about Scrap Rack. I'm sorry for anybody who was waiting to get a question answered and had to sit through that when they already know the information, or well, maybe didn't want it, I guess. But so let's go through and answer those questions about the name of the Facebook group is the 2011 Get Organized Challenge Group. Again, you'll get a post about that. Desiree says, Tiffany, I did exactly what you said, Tiffany, with the subcategorizing. I have my sports, school, and shapes, and together being they are all kinds of associated under the school category. Being the school teachers about shapes and also sports. So see, just a comment from Desiree about how to sort of consolidate those. Pam says, my sons play a lot of sports. Should sports be one of the themes, or would it be easier to put tennis, basketball as part of the letter of the alphabet in the theme section? Thanks, Pam. And okay, so keeping things together you would use together is really important. This is a great question, Pam. So you want to have a sports category if you have lots of sports, and then behind that sports tab you could break down basketball, baseball, football, soccer. But when you think about sports, things like grass and cleats and whistles and banners that say we love our coach or go team or pom-poms, all of those things will work on any type of sports page. And so if you have them separated, maybe put those under baseball, then when you're working on a football page, you won't see them. So you'll forget that you have them, and then you won't use them. And our goal with being organized is to really use the stuff that we've got. So with sports, get sports as a generic category, and maybe those items are in the very front of sports, and behind your sort of generic sports, then you can break down individual things that are totally specific to one sport. Can you clarify where we get the workbook again? It's going to be on the Get Organized Challenge page. There's a download for it. So when you get the link to the page, there's a link right in there that says download the workbook. If for some reason you can't download it, then I know some Mac users have had trouble downloading it. If they get a message that says it's corrupted, it's not corrupted. Just email me or customer service and we will send you a PDF. We'll just attach a PDF and send it to you. Facebook allow you to add 2012 to the name. It won't let me to do anything. It's very annoying. Oh, how much is the scrap rack? It ranges. I'm sorry, I didn't talk about that. I guess they range in price. You can buy just the basic scrap rack for $100, but there's packages on the website where you get the scrap rack and some pages and dividers, or all of those things are on the website in packages. And you buy each piece as it's all component driven. So you buy exactly what you need, or you can buy a big kit. But the idea is it will never change. We started in 2003. The base unit has always been the same size, the same shape, the same color. The spinders have always been the same dimensions. Sometimes our page pockets change a little bit and the colors on the travel pack change, but everything always works together. There's nothing more frustrating than buying something this year, and next year when you go to buy another one, the manufacturer has changed the spec and the two things don't fit together. That will never happen with us. It's one of our basic company philosophies that if you bought it from us in 2003, you can still use the things that go with it in 2012. So, I think I skipped this. How many pages should you put on a spinder? You can put 20 to 30 pages on a spinder depending on how fully loaded they are. And there's a video on the website, I think, too, about this binder. If you take it off the base unit, lay it flat on the table, put all your pages over to one side, and then pop it open. If pages are popping off, when you pop this binder open, it's too full. But if they don't pop off, you can keep adding. So that's sort of the divining rod. Do you have any suggestions on where to put chipboard in the themes index? I have quite a bit of grunge board, sheets of square circle chipboard, and not sure where they would fit in. You know, Angela, with chipboard is so big and so bulky that I only put specialty chipboard in my scrap rack. So if it's something particular to vacation or to beach or whatever, it's going to go in there. Aside from that, I have this big sorter tray that sits right next to my desk on the shelf where it just goes from large to small. And it's mostly dealing with alphabets because I have little tiny ones and then they go all the way to great big, like 12-inch long ones. And then those big 12 by 12 sheets or round sheets or whatever, that's on the website also. A picture of that. And I'm going to put a note right here on that'll go out with the email today, too, that shows what I'm talking about when I say that. So, but it's very visible, very accessible, and it's right next to me, sort of on that shelf underneath my scrap rack. So really very simple. Do you use the paper storage boxes and the scrap rack at the same time. You do if you're a paper junkie. Raise your hands if you're paper junkies, ladies. But the key is arranging your paper in the paper storage boxes the same way as you arrange everything else, or following the same mental path as everything else. We actually start next week. Our first actually organizing is paper, and so we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty of sorting, storing, and organizing paper and using it in a scrap rack or in paper storage boxes, and how to make those things all flow and work together. So we're going to get really detailed on that. But yes, if you're a paper junkie, you probably need paper storage boxes and a scrap rack at the same time. Patricia says, at some point, please address organization for a Cricut. I just received one, and no, I will be accumulating more accessories and want to plan its storage. Thanks. Patricia, we are going to talk about Cricut storage. It's about, I think it's the 5th or 6th challenge that's coming up. So we definitely have some good methods for doing that. There's also a little video if you go to the cool tools section or the accessories section and you look at the Cricut storage case that we have on the website. There's a little video there that'll kind of give you a sneak peek of the methods for storing and organizing those. Any tips for a very small space from Nancy? Absolutely, Nancy. This whole challenge is appropriate to small space as well as huge space. And so as we go through the challenge, you're going to get lots of great ideas. If you're working in a very small space, one of the things that works great about a scrap rack is that you can take the spinders off and lay them out on a shelf. And there's a picture on our website, and it's on the scrap racks in use or photo gallery. I can't remember what it's called. I'll try to post. And what that does is allow you to have literally 50 spinders worth of products, but not have to have 15 feet of scrap rack. So you can have one scrap rack that you fold up and put away when you're not using it. Excuse me. And then when you're going to scrap, you set up that base, and if you're working Christmas, you just pull the Christmas spinders off your shelf and put them on the scrap rack, and you're able to use them or take them with you to a proper class. But you don't have to have 15 feet of space, but when they're on the shelves, they're really consolidated and compact, but they're also protected, they're also visible, and they're also accessible. So there's really a great storage shelf system. I didn't come up with it. One of our customers actually sent me the picture, and I thought, oh my gosh, you're brilliant. I wish I would have thought of this. But it's a great way to do it, and I will get a picture out. I'll try to get a picture of that on the Facebook group as well. Ooh, Merle says, don't forget the scrap rack can be used for organizing quilting. It can, yes, way to go, Merle. It can be used for quilting and rubber stamping and cross-stitch and card making. And we're going to talk a little bit about all those things as we go through the challenge. But there are a variety of ways, and that's another great thing about the Facebook group is the ladies on the Facebook group will share all kinds of great ideas like that. Merle, I want to see you popping up on that Facebook group too. Joyce says, ask your postman for the free priority boxes, and then you can easily use them to donate your, make them your purge boxes and send them away. That's a great idea. Will the webinar stay on so we can take notes? Sorry, I was a little late this morning. I'm in Japan. Well, welcome, Diana from Japan. Yes, it's going to be recorded, so you can actually watch it again and take notes at your leisure. Do you or the group have some suggestions for the rewards, especially something free or inexpensive? We had quite a bit of medical expense this year and need to watch spending. Boy, there's so many great things out there. Just things like treating yourself to an afternoon of reading the new Scrapbook magazine at the coffee shop. I mean, just taking time for yourself and saying, okay, I've got my new CK magazine. I'm going to go to Starbucks and just relax where I'm not distracted and my phone's not ringing or whatever. And you'll be surprised. One of the gals, one of the best things that I saw was a gal who, with a friend, they love to go to Goodwill stores and buy things and then bring them home and decorate them or turn them into something else, right? Altered gifts, or I can't remember exactly what the details were. But so one of her rewards was go do this Goodwill shopping run with her friend and spend $10. And so it wasn't a huge amount of money. It was $10 that was put away. It was with the reward. She knew exactly what she was going to get, but it was something that motivated and inspired her. So if you can think of things like that, or afternoons that you want to spend with your girlfriends or your grandchildren, or mostly just time for ourselves, you know, that you really just get to do whatever you want to do. That's so rare for people who are wives and mothers and grandmothers and workers and all those things, that when you take time for yourself, you really feel kind of guilty about it. So So, but post asking on the Facebook group for suggestions, and some of the things that people came up with were just amazing, and a lot of them were free, like just taking a bubble bath uninterrupted. How would you do the themes index on the computer, on a spreadsheet? I would use Excel, Patricia asked. I would use Excel because you can just type it in as it comes to mind and then hit sort alphabetically, and it'll put it in alphabetical order for you. So I would use Excel. June asks for ribbons and fiber. I don't have enough for a board of each color, and many are theme specific. What are your suggestions instead of the fiber board page? My suggestion, June, is to cut a piece of chipboard in half. So you have a 6x12 piece of chipboard, and then you can wrap it around that 6x12 piece of chipboard and put it in a double extra long pocket. Instead of using a 12x12, which you said you don't have that much, and that'll give you the same effect, just in a much smaller package. So even if you only have 2 or 3 ribbons, so you could do the same thing, I guess, if you cut a board into fit the 6x6 pocket, and you could wrap 4, 5, 6 ribbons just around that and put them in with whatever theme or holiday your ribbons go with. So just take that same idea of the 12x12 and shrink it down to fit what your needs are. One of the really important things about this challenge, ladies, is that as we go through these ideas, your brain is going to start to think about things differently and analyze things a little bit differently, because you will have this clear path. But much like this, how do I take that thing, the 12x12 wraparound ribbon and fiber board, and apply ribbon organization when that is not the right thing? You know, if you just, when you start to think about it, you're like, okay, I can just use a 6x12 or 6x6 board and accomplish the same thing without taking up a whole 12x12 pocket or a whole 12x12 space. So it's nice to get the 12-inch long board, though, I'll say, because then you know that that piece of ribbon that you have is at least 12 inches long. The other thing about the ribbon and fiber boards is they're plastic coated, so you can use repositionable adhesive to hold the end of the fiber. They come with little clips, but I actually use repositionable adhesive, glue dots to hold the end, but that way you know if it's 12 inches long that you have 12 inches of fiber at least. Are seasonal items put in A to Z or calendar, Christmas under C or under December? This is a great question. I'm sorry I usually address that particular question during the presentation because it is important. Themes A to Z is not calendar year stuff. So Christmas would go under C. And remember, as you come across these questions, you want to ask yourself, now how would I keep things together I would use together? Well, with Christmas, if you have Christmas under C, and then you have winter under W, and then New Year's Eve under N, or Thanksgiving under T, all of those things that you might be scrapping about at that same time, that whole holiday season, are going to be spread out through your scrap rack or through your room or wherever you have it. And so you're going to have to go to different sections to find what you need, and you're going to miss that you might have something in another section. So when it comes to the holiday and seasons, if you've got Christmas and New Year's Eve and winter all together, all of those things might work together on a page or layout that you're doing, and they're all going to be in the same place. Very much like all your sports things. Remember we talked about grass and cleats and whistles and things that say go team will work on any sports page. Well, snowflakes and snowmen are going to work on, you know, Christmas vacation, are going to work on winter day, are going to work on Christmas cards or whatever. So when you want to keep things together, you would use together. So great question. I usually talk about that actually when I do the themes index. I also make cards. Any extra thoughts in that area? Cards are really the same thing with multiple things. So if you make cards and you buy a thing of thank you, little silver thank you, words or whatever, you usually get 6 of them or 12 of them or whatever, which is a little bit different than scrapbooking. But the premise is the same. So if you're a card maker and you make tons of birthday cards or tons of thank you cards, you're just going to have a section in themes, thank you and birthday, and you're going to put all those things in there. The beautiful thing about it is most card makers, also scrapbookers, rubber stampers, all those things work together. So now when you go to make a page where you're thankful for something, you're going to go to that thank you section and you're going to see your card making supplies as well. So whereas you might have forgotten about a really cool thank you stamp that you had because it was stuffed away with card making or rubber stamping, once you integrate all those things together, now you're going to use that stamp or that tag or whatever in scrapbooking and in card making and on other projects as well, because you're thinking in theme instead of thinking in type of item or product. Jean says, hi, I'm here from New Zealand, looking forward to getting organized. Welcome, Jean. Glad that you could join us from so far away. What are the shipping fees like when shipping to Canada? Melita says. Melita, if you email us where you are and what you want, we will be able to give you, based on the weight of the package, some options for shipping. Also, anybody else that's ordering internationally, if you place an order internationally, you can choose whatever shipping method you want, because once we box and weigh your order, we're going to email you and give you the actual shipping on it, and then you can decide from that point what you want to do, because there's priority, there's express, there's first class, depending on where it's going. So we'll actually, once we actually know where you are and what the weight is and how small of a box we can get it into and all of those things, then we will send you the actual shipping costs, and you can choose which shipping method you want to use. To mix your calendar in with your themes. No, we kind of already talked about that and why not to do it. The other thing is about that mixing it together, right? If you are going to go to a proper class and work on Christmas, if your Christmas is under C, then you're going to take, I don't know what else might be under C, camping. If you're going to take that C section with you to go to a proper class, now you're taking stuff that you're not even going to use. You don't need to take your camping stuff when you're going to work on Christmas. But you might use your winter stuff when you're going to work on Christmas. So by putting it in the calendar year, when you're going to head out the door to a proper class, and you're going to take just your Christmas section or just your winter section, you're going to have everything for Christmas or winter together that goes with those pictures. But what you're not going to have is a box or a couple boxes full of stuff you won't use because they don't coordinate with the projects that you're working on. So it's really important. Those details of sorting by theme are going to really pay off, not only when you're working at home, but when you're going to go somewhere. The other thing is, if you're going to buy Christmas stuff, you can take your Christmas section off your base unit, throw it in your travel pack, and go out the door to the scrapbooking store and buy products that complement rather than duplicate what you already own. So it makes it simple on so many levels. Now, I keep saying this all like if you're using a scrap rack, but even once you get stuff sorted into that 4-section system, even if you're using big Ziploc bags, same situation. You can take your Christmas Ziploc bag with you to the scrapbook store and buy things that complement rather than duplicate. So that sorting by themes as one kind of group and by the calendar year as the other kind of group really becomes very valuable on a number of levels once you get it all done. Let's see. A thank you to the people who posted about Joplin. I am from there, and it's great to see others are remembering us. Nice. Can't find you on Facebook. What name? Search for the Scrap Rack on Facebook, all one word. There's also a link to it on our website if you're looking for it. Please post the website. The website is super easy, www.thescraprack.com. It's that that gets you, though. People go to Scrap Rack all the time, and that's some other weird metal recycling site or something. Can you also talk about, yes, we'll talk about Cricut storage and Sizzix storage when we have they're both in the same webinar, so we will really get into that as well. I'm sorry I didn't read the questions. Will you talk about organizing Cricut and Sizzix? And yes, we will. If you have to miss a webinar, yes, you can view them later, and they'll be posted on the website. Marcy says, this organization is crossing over to sewing as mine is a sewing and scrapbook room together. Thanks. Will you still be doing sewing ones also? We'll be talking about sewing. I don't sew. It's one of the things on the boards. We've had a lot of great uses and people organizing their patterns and their fabric swatches. And I know my good buddy Merle owns an embroidery business, so she's got her fabric swatches organized in perfect 6 pages, so they're easy to find, and then they relate to how she actually has the fabric stored in her totes and bins. So we will talk more about those as well. So you'll see more of that coming up. I have to leave my desk. If you can please email me. Yes, we will email you everything you need to know. Do you recommend clearing everything out of your scrap room before you start and then putting it back? Absolutely. We're going to talk a little bit about that in the next thing, creating your organized only space. So that'll come up next week. So now if you're posting answers, I just have tons of stuff here, but like answers about what to do, you know, rewards and that kind of stuff, please go to the Facebook page and post those. As everybody, you know, we have 1,800 people participating in this challenge. So, and people have kind of had to come and go, but if you get on the Facebook board and post those ideas for your big benefits board, people really find that helpful. So if you have a great idea, share it there. I'm not going to read all of them here. I'm sitting in my craft room looking at card making and sewing cross-stitch supplies and old jeans that need to be made into blankets and my pom-poms from 1970. I'm excited to get this mess cleaned up. And all of those things, the wonderful thing about this webinar is that once you do it just for your scrapbooking supplies, you will see how it migrates into everything else all over your home. It's funny, we get some posts on Facebook about different things, but the ideas, the concepts of thinking about organization and structuring things and setting a path so that you're keeping things together you would use together, which is kind of a crazy thing because we do it in other areas of our lives, right? So your silverware drawer is a prime example, right? You don't put your spoons in a jar in the window and your knives in a basket on the counter. No, you put all those things together in one drawer, so when you're going to set the table, you've kept the things together that you're going to use together. And yet with scrapbooking, somehow we've got on this tangent of containerizing things. So we're going to talk so much about that, but you will see how it spills over into other places in your life. Do you have any Arizona shows this year? Cheryl and I would love to come and see you. I would love to see you too. I would love to go to Arizona, but we didn't make the cut on the Arizona show this year, so probably next year. Have the pictures been slow to change, or is it my computer? I haven't changed the picture since I started answering the question, so I'm sorry that you're looking at that screen. I should have left up the link screen, actually, while I was doing it. Joyce will be in Orlando. I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to meet you too. Please bring a crowd. I said the business because I am going to do this twice, but I am so looking forward to teaching my classes your techniques. Patty's a student of mine. She is on also. Love your products. Thanks so much, Joyce. Good to hear that. Do you have a cheat sheet of common items like Christmas soccer? Yes, there is. When you read the 4-section system article, there's kind of a cheat sheet in there for the themes list. Will the question and answer section be on the video? Yes, it will. Tina says, thanks, Tiffany. This has been a wonderful webinar. I'm so glad that you've enjoyed it. It just gets better, too. This is kind of the foundation one, so it's not as exciting, but it really is important. Jean says, since I tend to have very specific themes, I found I had a few items for holidays throughout the year. I created 4 themes, winter, spring, summer, fall. I tend to use those types of things. Again, Jean, that's a great comment for I hope you'll repeat that on the Facebook group because that's great. Merle just signed in the Facebook group. Good job, Merle. If someone is local to me, they could see my scrap rack. Oh, Merle's in Texas. She's just signed up for the Facebook group. She's probably the only Merle France you'll ever know. So you can link with her on Facebook. She also has a comment about the postmaster not liking it when you use the priority mailboxes for other things. But again, if you're using them to ship things off, oh no, that's not Merle, that's Glenda. Sorry. Merle says, if someone is local to me, they could see my scrap rack setup. So she is in Plano, Texas. So if you want to see a scrap rack and you're in Texas and you don't want to wait to meet Merle and I, because Merle is going to be with me in the booth in Texas at the Arlington show, you can contact Merle and come and visit her scrap rack. Pam says, I got my time zones mixed up. First challenges, get ready to get organized, Pam, and you can watch this. We'll post the link for you later. How does one get it all out of the room and other rooms and move around? Any ideas? We're going to talk about that next week, Benita. So whether you clean out your whole room or just create a small space, I'm going to give you a couple different ways to do that. Patricia says, take a picture first. Everybody should take a picture first, and everybody should post it on the Facebook group so that everybody can be motivated and inspired by each other. Yes, I'll repost the pages I saw later. Sharon says, I'm excited to downgrade all my supplies. I have way too much stuff to the point that all my storage is full and things are overflowing, countertops and floor and carts. Can't wait to hear your system. And this is really going to work great for you, Sharon, especially if you're at a place where you know that you have to get rid of stuff. So that purging is really key. Make your purge box. That's half the battle, is making that purge box. Can I put up the web link screen now? Yes, I can. I just have to get through this. Let me see if I can go to this slide down here. There it is. There we go. Patricia's going to be in Orlando too. Please come and see me and introduce yourself if you're at a show where we are. I love to meet people, and so does Merle. She's a great booth partner. We just have such a good time in there, and we'd love to meet all of you guys. I have all my 8.5 by 11 solid stock in a hanging file folder system. I'm considering the same thing for my 12 by 12, organized as you have described. What are your thoughts on hanging file folders versus paper storage boxes? The upside to a paper storage box is that you can take a paper storage box off your shelf, drop it in your crop tote, and take it with you to a crop or class. And when you get home, you can take it out of the tote and put it right back on the shelf. Same thing if you have all your paper and paper storage boxes on a shelf that aren't accessible from where you're sitting to scrap, your dining room table scrapper, or you have a big room or whatever, you can pull that paper storage box off the shelf and put it right down on the table next to you and have all your paper right at your fingertips. So depending on where your 12 by 12 file folders are, if they're just in a drawer right next to you, then that's great. But if you don't have a way to take them with you, if you go to crops and classes, and some people don't, but if you like to go to crops, then you want to keep in mind that portability aspect of them. And there's some totes and stuff out there. I know Cropper Hopper used to make a tote that was actually a 12 by 12 file tote that was transportable. So I think either thing will work great, just depending on how you scrap and whether or not you like to scrap. One might have benefits over the other. So let's see. I will be in Anaheim. Where's the best place to track you down since you don't have a booth? Just email me, Trish. I'll be there Monday and Tuesday. Or no, Sunday and Monday. And I have a couple appointments. But other than that, I will be walking the floor with my buddy Susan Mintmeyer from Paper Crafters Corner and out visiting other people. So just email me and we will connect at the show. That'll be fun. Any more update on the container? Well, it hasn't pulled into the warehouse yet because I can see out into the yard area, but hopefully it'll be here today. Cindy, what drives me crazy are all the little scraps of cardstock I can't seem to part with. Any suggestions on how to decide what is useful and what is not? Yes, Cindy, we're going to talk about that next week too, but I'll give you the nutshell of it. Give yourself a minimum size to keep. So it might be 2 by 3, it might be 6 by 6, it might be 12 by 6, but whatever that minimum size is to keep, at the end when you've completed a project and you have all those scraps of paper, anything that doesn't meet your minimum goes either in your purge box or the garbage. And so again, it's just a goal setting thing. Once you write it down and hang it up in front of you, it is so much easier to execute that. The other thing is when you put your scraps like in a scrap rack in the scrap section, it becomes easier to throw things away because when you flip to your scrap section to put those scraps away, say they're blue, and you flip to that blue section and you see that you already have 2 or 3 pages of blue scraps, it's a lot easier to throw them away because emotionally you can look at those 2 or 3 pages of scraps and go, okay, I have enough scraps there to last me for a year, so I can comfortably throw this away because I know that it's not needed. So those kinds of things are really important, just the mental process of it. Peg says, just wondering, is it best to store paper by color or themes or both? Best to store it by color or by both, by themes and then by calendar year. And again, we're going to talk about paper specifically next week, so we'll really get into that. Glenda says, remind them to use the scraps they might purge. Oh yeah, when we get into the stamps and punches and those kind of things, you're going to need some scraps for those projects. So some bigger scraps that you might not keep, solid colored scraps that you might be thinking about throwing away. If you throw those all into a box as you're coming across them in the process, when you need some scraps to stamp or punch things onto, then you can use those scraps. You'll actually get some use out of them. Good reminder, Glenda. Patricia says, just requested to join the Facebook group. So excited to get my stuff organized. I have boxes in the closet from 4 years ago when we moved into our house. Well, Patricia, you signed up to join the right group. This is a great group. You're going to have a great time and get so much done. Kim reminds us not to throw away our paper scraps, but to recycle them. So yes, put them into your recycle bin rather than your trash bin for anything that's recyclable. Good point, Kim. I'll try to use that word instead of throw them away, to put them in the recycle bin. All right, everybody, that's the end of the questions for today. So I am going to hit the stop record button and get this video downloading so I can post it on the website so you can watch it again later or review it later, or the people who weren't able to join us live can watch it at their leisure. So again, feel free to email if you have questions. Join the Facebook group and you'll get a fast response, probably a faster response from the Facebook people then I can get to you from email. They're a pretty active group. Get busy on your challenge. Get your workbook downloaded and start checking things off and post your progress on the Facebook group. Everybody have a great week, and I will see you next Tuesday.